Guys, I am here with Giulio Delafitte, and it is a treat for you. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He grew one of Australia's largest finance companies, sold it, and then his idea around it was, I am going to create an AI that represents this entire finance company. So now he's in the property game and he's absolutely killing it. It's one of the most successful people that I know. Dozens of properties, absolutely blows my mind. And he runs one of the world's largest entrepreneurial companies. I'm pretty sure you work with thousands of different entrepreneurs.
We do, man.
Yeah, thousands of entrepreneurs. They take them to Antarctica, takes them to the Amazon, blows their minds, gives them strategies, connects them together to create more business. Like they've generated, I think it's millions of dollars of revenue between.
Yeah, like when people come on the trips that generate millions and millions of dollars in just swapping capabilities.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And one of the reasons that me and Giulio connected, like I ended up connecting with him, is because he's super passionate about helping people increase their wealth. So in this podcast, in this video you're watching, we're going to be going into the strategies of how you can increase your wealth. So tune in. This is a very special episode. Put your thinking caps on and get ready, because you guys are going to get absolutely blasted with so much stuff. I would say some real tangible and practical tasks to do after this. It's absolutely insane. So Giulio, what I want to know, first question, diving in deep, is like, what ruins people with finances?
Not knowing the numbers. Corey, it is insane. If you want to go conspiracy theory or not, okay? We are indoctrinated to be slaves, right?
How so?
Well, the education process is all about you getting a good job. Think about it. It's all about preparing people to get a good job. So people finish an education thinking, I'm going to go and get a good job. So I'll be an architect, I'll be an engineer. No, that is much better than being a bum, for sure, right? But the truth is, subtly, what happens is people work for money. And when you're under that condition, that hypnosis, now people are watching thinking, Giulio, this is everybody I know. I know. The majority of people, like, let's just go deep. We're diving now, okay? So we're going into it now, and I'm just going to go fast. So it started with this statement: people are being indoctrinated to be slaves. It's a grab, it's station, like boom. Now, as I go down, and people are like, I'm interested, not interested, I want to say to you is see it for what it is. When you finish your first high school, get your first job, or you finish university, you tell you, if you get your first job, you make 50 grand, you spend 50 grand. You take it to 75, you spend 75. You take it to 300, you spend 300. So I work with people from all walks of life. So you even may take high-end doctors. We have plenty of them as clients. I can tell you right now, some doctors come here, they make 800 grand a year. Guess how much they spend?
800 grand.
800 grand. And that's what I mean being a slave. Because what actually happens is there are some protocols in your mind that even though you have great cash flow or great income, that's not wealth. So one thing's one thing, another thing's another thing. So for those people that are here now, watching this, being present, wealth is not a good job. It's not a good income. Income is income. Everything being equal, you spend it. That's the majority of people. So that software leads people to a pattern, right? So all the time I meet guys that are in their mid-20s, early 30s, and they're still like hungry, like, I want to go, I want to do things, yeah. And in that moment, they're increasing their income. If they don't notice, they will spend that income and wealth doesn't get generated. So they're a slave to a process of which all the money you have in your pockets after tax, you're addicted to debt, and you keep living. And that's where the AI comes in. The AI doesn't know who you are. It doesn't. It just looks at the numbers and says, what can you do to get ahead in life? So what we've done is we picked up this 30 years worth of experience and all the innovation and technology for the last 20 years. We're on it. It's not, for us, AI is not new. We got onto it almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, we're on. So now people come and when they go like, oh, okay, how do I get ahead? How do I do this? Well, let me give you the software that is in people, in humans. So guys, check this out. Corey calls me up and says, look, man, I am teaching people, I'm teaching man how to become better versions of themselves. I love it. How can we help it? So I have worked with investments for 32 years. Like there is no mercy when it comes to numbers.
Property investment?
Property, finance, accounting. There's nothing we have not touched.
So what does in regards to that, well, I want to get a little bit clearer. What does wealth mean to you? Well, you look at wealth and you're like, hey, this is wealth. What is a description from your mind of what wealth looks like? So if anyone's listening and they have a goal, they're like, okay, I want to get to this goal.
Perfect.
What is that?
So we're mixing all sorts of conversations, and I don't want people to get confused. The interview is about getting ahead and what is wealth. I'm saying to people that we have AI that I am making available to every one of the guys that do your courses. Okay? So that's why I'm leading this way.
Yep.
Right? So we become very clear. And then what's the AI going to do? Then I told you I've been working with artificial intelligence for more than 10 years. It's very tough to tell the computer to emulate a human. So we need to understand, right? What are the software inside of people's heads? What's the software inside of people that they make decisions, the way they look in life, and is this enhancing my outcome or not? And this is what we've been observing for 30 years, and we put it all together. The question that you say to me, what's wealth, is extremely relevant. So let me just hit it hard. If you and I met at the airport and you said to me, Julio, I'm hopping on that flight, you're hopping on that flight, I got 2 minutes. Right? How do I get rich? Here's the software. Or you are accumulating capital, or you're not. Or you are code, guys, code. Or is mathematical language of choice, left, right. Or you are accumulating capital, or you are not. Third line, most important one, choose.
I like that. That's really cool.
So choose. So if you want a relevant conversation for all the guys, all the boys and girls that hang out, here's this. Pick a date in your calendar. For me, it's the 7th of August. It's the birth of my first child. Okay? I look on the 7th of August is my reckoning day. Am I richer this year than last year? Yes or no? And by how much? And you know it. Then you know it. Now, the hypnosis get you, if last year you're making 100 grand, all right, 7th of August comes along. For me, it's my date. Yours may be the 1st of January, maybe. It doesn't matter. It's a day, though. It's in your calendar. So last year, you're on 100 grand a year. This year, you're on 120. You'll feel richer. You will feel richer. Nonetheless, if you do not have accumulation of capital software inside of you, you just have a higher income. See what I mean? And if you have a higher income, everything being equal, you spend it.
Right. So what's the difference then? Because I want to get clear on this really interesting. What's the difference between income and capital?
Cool. So if everybody gets this, you got your first job at 50, then you took it to 75. In other words, you got older, you got wiser, you were able to be promoted, and your salary is raised, right? And then you take it from 75 to 150, and you keep, there is a place where most people then start to be on a flat line and then increase according to CPI, right? Okay, that's income. So every single person that generates income, upon that income, you'll make decisions. This is the kind of car I'll drive. This is where I'm going to live. This is how many kids I can afford. And then you meet somebody right? And then you have double income, yeah? And that makes all sorts of financial decisions based on income. Now, income is you selling, get this, hours for dollars. So I generate $40 an hour. I generate $12 an hour. I generate $80 an hour. And then you try to get really clever and generate $300 an hour. Right. So your dollar per hour is your income. That income is taxed. The higher the income, the higher the taxation. Got it. And then what's left over, everything being equal, you spend it. So now what's capital? Capital are shares, gold, property, right? Your own business. That's capital. So let's just say now you meet Jimmy and you say to Jimmy, how's it going? He goes, I'm 32 years of age. I am on $130,000 a year. I'm on $90,000 a year. Well, let's make him 100. Let's make flat 100. Jimmy's 32 on 100 grand a year. Got it. What else have you got? I got this Suzuki here, this motorcycle. I got this car. I got this, I got that. Is it, do you have debt on these things? Yes, no. How much shares have you got? Oh, I don't have any. Oh, do you have a house? No, I don't have any. So Jimmy is a good-looking guy who has good income, no assets. Then you go to Tom. Say, Tom, how you doing? I'm 32 years old. I make 90 grand a year. Right. And so tell me about the numbers. Oh, I got $10,000 in Amazon. I hold $10,000 in shares in Amazon. I got 30,000 shares of the Commonwealth Bank. I have 20 grand in crypto. Right.
A couple of properties.
You know. So then the next guy says, I have a couple of properties. Okay. Right? So same income. Then some guys have only income. Some guys have this type of assets. Some guys have deep assets. And that's what we teach people. When you talk about property, is this. You can buy like $500,000 worth of assets. Let's just say you go out and buy a property with 500,000. They are ceasing to exist, right? You buy a property with 800,000. The beauty about what I call deep assets is this. When you buy your own home, it's an utility. It's not an investment. You're using it. You're living in it. But when you buy as a property investment, other people pay for it. And that distinction is insanely cool.
Yeah, it kind of confuses me. I don't understand why some people aren't rushing and working their hardest to trying to get like a property. And I don't know, like, so that they can like get ahead, right? Because I did everything to get like my first one. It was like took so hard, like so much time, energy, and effort to get one. And what I knew during that time was I was like, one, my financial intelligence was lacking. I didn't know the numbers, like some of the words and the concepts that like, you know, you were mentioning, like as we were talking, I was like, I didn't know those. Like, I didn't know income, capital, I didn't understand those. And also was having the emotional intelligence around it. Right? I didn't have this emotional intelligence. I was like, oh, am I even worthy enough to get this? Like, oh, maybe I'll try later. Like, oh, maybe that's a little bit too hard. Or like, oh, this is scary. Looking at money is scary. But I'm like, you know what's scarier? Like dying, not having anything. Like that's how I sort of think about it, right? But I'd like to know in your brain, like what the difference is between financial intelligence and emotional intelligence.
Perfect.
And how can, like, what tools can you give people to use?
Perfect. See, this conversation now is really starting to take shape, guys. It is difficult to talk about money without emotion. So even though I may point out to you your internal dialogue, are you accumulating capital or not? So for those of you who are watching, I hope that if you just say, I need to accumulate capital, and you don't know what that means, it's okay. Because that's what Corey's talking about now. If you make a decision because you hang out with Corey, I'm going to accumulate capital, you're going to be richer than the version of you who doesn't say that, right? Yeah. Now we're going to define a little bit about how to do it. So if you earn a certain amount of money and you spend that money, you never employed any of it. So right now you gave me code. You told me earlier on in my life, I worked harder. I went at it. My financial intelligence wasn't sophisticated, but I knew I had to do something. That is the leaning towards I gotta acquire assets. So you have an income. So then I'm sure you asked some questions around and people said to you, hold on, you need a deposit. Oh, how much? 20%. Got it. Well, what's the house I'm buying? $500,000. Whoa, I need $100,000 of deposit? Yep. Now, some people may right there and then get discouraged. $100,000. Yeah. Or some people can go, hey, this is what I love about your program because people step it up and people step it up. So if I now know I need $100,000 for a deposit on a house, how am I going to do it? That's a much better question rather than, I'm going to let this know. So the emotional intelligence will cause you to go, oh, or, that is it. Or, right. And you get like that. How am I going to get 100 grand? Well, man, if you have no idea, get a second job. What? Yeah, more hours because you get dollars per hours. So if you put in 38 hours, right? Yep. Put now 46 hours. And those hours, you start to go towards the deposit. That cash is the beginning of your asset formation, right? Now, if you find a partner right? Found a spouse that comes on the same vein and says, yep, I'm in, let's go. You got to watch that sometimes emotionally. We have a plan and our partner has a completely different plan or no plan at all. And when we want to go forward and your partner doesn't, because you can find a partner that wants to go forward with you, a partner that is flat, doesn't care, and a partner that resists. Then you're just picking up more drag. There's enough drag as it is. So let me just give you the sequence for most people. And you see the software. You see the software in people. Here's how it goes. You get a job. Like, watch it play. Watch it play. You get a job. And then you get a promotion. Yep. And then you meet somebody. You really like that person. Hey, do you want to move in? Of course, there's a lot of meetings between meeting them and saying, do you want to move in? It's a bunch of meetings. But eventually, that's what you say. Hey, do you want to move in? The person says, yeah. So now you have double income. That's when you go overseas. That's when you upgrade the car. That's when like, whoa, because now you have less bills because same rent. Like there's a bunch of things the bills get shared. 2 income. My God, we never had so much cash. You match that income, that expenses, right? And then off you go. Now, check this out. Pure software, brother. Pure trends. Yeah, you got together, you committed, boom, committed. And then one day, you're walking through the supermarkets, just walking around, and then suddenly you see the diapers. And you see the...
Yeah, that's cute.
The baby things, And then you go, well, let's make one. Let's make somebody that looks like us, right? And then next thing is you have a child. The moment you have a child, notice what happens. For most people, the moment that they have a child, willingly or not, aware of it or not, they have a software upgrade. It's like, and it goes something like this, emotionally. I got to get serious now. I have somebody that looks like me. I got to get really, really serious now. What am I doing? And then that person will now think, I got to put a roof over my kids' heads. I got to pay for education. Now I'm going to commit to get that pay rise. I'm going to commit to become more serious, more focused, all right? Because there's people that look like me. And now I'm going to put the deposit and going to start, and money starts to go. So you find people in their 30s, okay, maybe 40s now, they put a deposit for the first house, but their driving force is safety for their children.
So you're telling me the secret to get rich is to have a baby?
No, I am telling you. Could be. So have them as early as possible, right? Because then you gotta, right, have them as early as possible. But the piece then, brother, is this. And you keep matching your income to your expense, and now you have a mortgage, and now you have kids' education. At 46, you show up at JDL Strategies, which stands for Just Do Life, and you say, man, I should be way ahead than where I am right now. So everything being equal, you have a little bit of equity in that property. You can borrow against that property and go again. For people watching this right now, what if, just as a scenario, a future existed for you watching this right now, where you go into an AI, it doesn't know who you are, doesn't know who your accountant is, doesn't know who your father is, doesn't know anything. And you go, this is my name, this is my age, this is how much I earn, this is that. And now what? And the software looks at you objectively and says, if you continue the way you are, this is your outcome. If you were to focus a little bit on what's possible, and the software starts modulating exactly what to do. You got to do this, this, and this, and what is possible for you shows up.
We're going to get into this AI software, and we're like going to show you guys a bit because it's like insane.
It's insane.
But before we go in, because I want to like talk you guys through it, because it's pretty wild. Because even just knowing what's in the software is insane.
So let me just conclude this.
Okay.
And then the third part is when it says, what if you to do it all the time? But the bottom line of what we're saying here right now is for people watching, there's already a distinction inside of them. I want it. I don't care. Not related to me. That's already in people watching this right now. So what we do for a living is we say to people, do you want to know how to get ahead? Yep. There's no such a thing as investing without risk. First commitment you got to do is I'm going to accumulate capital. First commitment. The sooner you do that, right? The more time you have to do it, more often. Yeah. But bottom line is, it's an internal human. And the moment in which you're going to come, oh, fuck, money's going to work for me.
That's such a good.
Money is going to work for me. It has to start slow, because normally it's not as if like I'm 18 and I just got this inheritance. It happens to very few people. The majority of us, we have got to go get a job and have the discipline to put some money away and then employ that money.
Yeah, I'm really interested because I love that you say that. I want, like, what I know for sure is that some people who may be hearing this might be like, oh, going to go after increasing capital or even getting more capital is like a challenge, right? Just having to go for that, like, well, that is so much energy and effort because I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know anything else. And I feel like when it comes to accumulating wealth, there's like a bit of a wall there where it's like, man, if I start learning some skills, people have this belief there's always someone so much better than me.
Yeah.
So what's the point of even trying? So I'd like to know, like, what is the difference and predictors that you have between someone who is a rich man and someone who's not a rich man? So that for anyone listening, if they're already rich and they want to get richer, that more of these traits, right? For someone who isn't as rich as what they'd like to be, and they're like, hey, I want to start increasing the game with that. What do I got to do about it?
Okay.
What are those?
See, this is what we've been doing for 30 plus years. We're meeting people that have good standard of living. They make enough money to have a good life. But the first parameter is, have you made up your mind to accumulate capital? So when you come to one of our courses or you come and hang out, are you employing money? So for anyone watching right now, you say to people, and it can be as simple. In the software, we say, how much can you save per week? And people says, nothing. They matching their income to expenses to the max. Or I can save $300 a week. Well, are you doing it? Yes, I'm doing it. How much have you got? I got 15 grand. That person has $15,000 worth of capital to deploy. That person is already tracking. So the majority of people will come to a moment where I'm going to have to save money now to deploy it. That is the very first predictor. So it comes all the time, brother. I want you to know a lot of people show up in their 46th birthday and all they're doing, in genuine terms, going at it with the best way they can, which is to give the best possible life to their kids. That's the driver, right? That is the driver.
Is 46 the most common age for that?
46 people show up here. It's a glitch in the matrix. 46 people show up. Of course, some people show up at 35. Yeah. If you show up to see me at 26, by the time I'm 46, you're out. You're out of the game. You have capital now. But people start the game at 46. What game? Accumulating capital. This is why these boxes you see in the offices, they all Monopoly games. All of it. We give to people Monopoly games all the time.
He has all these boxes in here. There's just full of Monopoly games.
You're full of Monopoly games. You're saying, look, someone was trying to show you how to play life. It's not a board game. It's a life game, right? So then the first predictor is that one. So if people has just a spark, yes, I want to get ahead, then let's go and buy a property. Now, a few things that I'll give it to you in terms of comparison. And that, if people say to me, why are you so rich? I want to tell you it's emotionally based.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Like, how is it emotionally based?
Mate, listen, this is full on, right? Discovery upon discoveries. And this 3 minutes, next 2 to 3 minutes of me telling you my personal story and my personal observation. Let me start with the question. What color do you prefer? Blue or nya?
I don't know what nya.
So you can't choose it.
Yeah.
So guys, what color do you prefer? Blue or nya? Yeah, nya. What's nya? No. Can't choose it. You cannot choose what you don't perceive. You cannot choose what you don't know. So you being rich, you got to see it, want it, so you can choose it. Yeah. I want it, right? And not pie in the sky stuff. So let's go solid conversation. So here comes Julio. I arrived in Australia in 1988, 19 years old, in love with an Australian girl. That's why I came. So I arrive here and I'm like, hey, how's it going? Da-da-da. So I got my first job. Then I worked really hard. Then I got my second job. But I want you to know, Corey, I did not have the language to explain. But as soon as I could, and I married the girl, and the two of us made a deal. I got 2 jobs. We lived on her income and I saved both of mine. Why? I don't know. Just did it. Why? Maybe because I want to impress her. Maybe because I want to impress her parents. I knew I had to have money work for me. I'm an outsider. But so what happened then was, within just shy of my second year in Australia, I bought a house.
So you're 21.
Do you know why? Because they let me. Oh, you just arrived. You can't, you're just like, you want to buy a house? Yeah. But here comes the distinctions, okay? When I arrived in Australia in 1988, inflation was really high. But inflation in Australia, it was around 12%. Do you know what inflation was in Brazil in 1988?
No.
Try 232%.
What's inflation now in Australia?
Yeah, it's sitting around 4.5%.
It's sitting around 4.5%, and it was 12%, and you bought one in 12%.
When I arrived in 1988. Now, I need to give you these distinctions, because I told you it was emotional. So when I arrived here, inflation in Brazil was out of control. It's 232% inflation, 238, like, it was insane, okay? Now, to borrow money in Australia, I started to say to people, hey, what is the cost of money here? And people don't talk like this. I was translating from Portuguese to English, right? What is the cost of money here? People looking at me like, so I learned to say it properly, right? What's the interest rates? And people said to me, oh, 12%. Easy to remember many years later. 12% inflation, 12% interest rates. And I'm like, so you look at it right now, right? Inflation is sitting, the truth inflation right now is sitting around 5%, and banks are lending around 6%. So things haven't moved very far. So I said to somebody, hey, listen, what's the interest rates? They said 12%. How's your inflation so low if the cost of money here is the same as the cost of money in Brazil, right? 12%. And this is when I got the distinction of my life, brother. In Brazil, we're talking about 12% per month. So if you borrowed $100,000, you have 30 days to show up with $12,000 to make the repayment. In Australia, when they told me was 12% per annum, it occurred to me like, this is free money. 12% per annum. Now, I want you to be very clear. Australians were freaking out. They were freaking out at 12% per annum. They were like, oh my God, we're going to die. For me, it was like, my God, that is so cheap. In Brazil, you needed 4 guarantors. 4 guarantors. So if you borrow the money to buy a house, 4 people show up and say, if he doesn't pay, I'll pay. And 2 guarantors must not be family. In Australia, do you know what you needed to borrow some money? 20% deposit. That's it. They trusted you're good for the money. You said, you're good for the money. Brother, that's why I got 2 jobs. That's why I said to my wife, let's hop on this. We live on your income, save both of mine, and I bought my first house.
Did you buy another one like soon after?
I bought another house a year later.
And then what was the one after?
Because we had a momentum.
Yeah.
Right? So I had 2 jobs and we lived on one income and saved all of it. Right? So you're like, really? Yeah. Now I know prices now. I started to get that way. But now we have better finances. Now you have mortgage insurances. You can shop with 10% deposit. You can help your parents for help. There's all sorts of other things you can do now, right? But back then it was just her and I, right? So we go like, let's now do this. So a year later, I bought another house. And here's part of the story. I was in Australia already some time, and somebody says to me, have you lodged your tax return? And I remember thinking, new words. What's that? Oh, you have not seen the tax man? I'm like, no, I have not seen the tax man. Mate, I end up in an accountant's office who asked me the following question. So what have you got? Oh, I got 2 incomes. Oh, you know you pay more tax on your second job? Really? Did not know that. How's that work? And he explained that to me. Right. What have you guys done? Oh, we bought 2 houses. Oh, which house do you live in? Well, what actually happened is when we bought the first house, we thought about moving into it. But the last moment we met another couple. They were amazing people. So the 4 of us rented a much bigger house together, close to the university, and had a swimming pool. So I rented my house out. Little did I know it was the best financial decision I've ever made. So I rented my house out. I bought the second one, rented out. I'm at the accountant's office now. And then he proceeds to explain to me that because I don't live in the house, this is key. This is inya, right now becoming a real color in your mind. The moment that he said to me, we're going to depreciate the houses. I said, what do you mean? The houses are going up in value. He says, no, depreciating is an accounting entry process. Like if you had a truck or a tractor on a farm, you can deduct. If you had a computer in your office, you deduct. Because the property is for investments, we will deduct. In other words, we're going to claim that the house is losing value from an accounting point of view. So how does that work? The house is going up in value. So I went downstairs, I called my father, and I said, Dad, I'm at an accountant's office. He's telling me that he's going to depreciate the properties. My dad said to me from Brazil, that's a big business guy. He said to me, son, get out. It's a scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. Get out now. They probably tried to track you into something. I'm like, dude, I'm in a proper accountant's office, right? The guy is telling me he's going to lodge my tax return and he's going to depreciate my properties. Anyway, Corey, I signed the documentation. I got in line with the ATO guidelines. Cool. Paid my taxes they were due and so on. My friend, 6 weeks later, I got a check for $3,000. Australia was already too good to be true. Australia was already amazing. So young Julio gets a check from the government because my accountant did depreciation on one of my properties. I looked at it and I thought, my friend, I had no purpose for that money. I wasn't expecting. It's one of those bonuses in life. And I swear to God, I thought about upgrading my motorcycle. Because that's what you do, right? You buy a better car. Money comes in, you buy a better something, you go on a holiday. But truth is, I didn't need it. Without thinking it too much, I put that $3,000 into the mortgage in the first house. And I swear to you, Corey, swear to you, I thought it was a one-off. The following year, my accountant lodged my tax return and I got another check. As a matter of fact, I've been in Australia in total now 35 years. I've been getting the checks every year. They never stopped. Best country in the world, like what? So please understand, the moment I took that money back from the ATO and I put it against the mortgage in the first house, I paid that mortgage down. The question now is, what's the performance of that money? That is asset accumulation. So I paid it down. Next check came back, I paid it down. And then it's like, and I bought my third house as soon as I could. By the time I had my third property, between me and my wife, we paid no tax. So our friends, other couples, and this is what I love about you teaching men about financial intelligence. Because you see, you can't choose these conversations. These conversations are not new. They're old. They've been around for a long time. It's just people don't choose it because they literally don't know. But when they come into your program and you say, boys and girls, I have a facilitation for your financial acumen. Let's know. And you start delivering conversations like that, programs like that. We'll make available, I promise you. I'll make available to you and the people that follow you, that do your program, I gave a talk to 30 accountants. Every single person in the room is an accountant. And I said to them, it's not that you don't know. It's not that you don't know. Everything I'm going to say, you know. But I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to your clients through you. Because it wasn't one accountant that had one conversation with me that changed everything. But most accountants are not having this conversation with their clients because they don't see it as part of their job. It's actually on you. How rich you're going to be is on you. So closing the whole circle now, brother. Closing the whole thing. So I bought my third house, right? So now you fast forward that a bit further. And it's Julio 26 years of age. And then I'm sitting with my father-in-law, Christmas. He says to me, what is your New Year's resolution? Italian guy. So I married an Italian girl, right? She first Australian born, parents Italian. So her father says to me, my father-in-law says to me, what's your New Year's resolution? And I, within my new knowledge, I said, I want to be $1 million in debt. Right? I just summarized it. And he looked at me like, and he started saying swear words in Italian. He looked at her like, you married this moron. Like, what is this idiot doing, right? But what I was saying is, I want to buy more houses. I tried to explain to him that, brother, what I am doing here is I'm buying assets that other people are paying for. So once I have a tenant and the ATO kicks in, right? He just flipped. And I said to him, is your accountant a friendly accountant? He says, yes. I'll make a challenge for you. Between Christmas and New Year's, let's catch up with your accountant. I'll show your accountant what I'm up to. And let him say to you what I'm up to, and you see if you approve it or not. Because it's too emotional now. He says, fair enough. I went to see the accountant. We went together. The accountant looked at it and said to him, John, let me just explain to you. Julio has the debt. He's responsible for it, but he's not paying for it. And that's Nya 101.
I love that.
The tenants is paying for it, right? The tenants are paying for it. The ATO is paying for it. And Corey, as my houses became cash flow positive, those houses stopped buying shares, managed funds, crypto, not me. The houses are buying them. So for anyone sitting here and saying to you, hey man, where do we go? I will give you the AI platform. I will give you and every one of people that join your platform. This talk I gave to the accountants that teaches everything about debt reduction, tax minimization. Everybody in the room is an accountant. Yeah. So I don't miss it.
Well, I'd love for you to come in to Set the Standard community and teach everyone.
Yeah,
it's like, look, Bruce, if you're listening to this, I'll get Julio to come in.
It will be my pleasure.
Yeah, he'll come in and he'll teach you some wild stuff.
Yeah, it'll be my pleasure. It'll be my pleasure.
But yeah, how does like the AI, if I was to sign up, because I'm signed up to it and like I currently am using it, but if I was a new person and I wanted to be like, okay, what benefit am I going to get? Because Julio spent like close to $2 million or just over $2 million roughly on this AI platform.
Yep.
And what it does is essentially replicates being a real estate agent, but it also tracks all of your wealth and how you can use it in property as well by just plugging your details.
Yeah.
It stores your properties that you have in there. It lets you know, gets you notifications when you're going to buy the next property. It lets you know in however many years that you use it, like how long you're in there, how much you're going to be worth, when to sell, when to buy. And then you've done it at a level where it's like, he's measured it at a way which is so conservative, like the lowest possible, like worst outcome is what it looks.
Correct.
And you're still looking at it like, oh shit, I got to get a house like now because this is extremely incredible because it is partnered as well. It's partnered with your JDL company, which is your property buying company.
Correct.
And like Julio's property buying company is one of the best buying companies. Like the amount of detail that you guys put into finding a property is nuts. So like with the properties that they source for you that's plugged into the software, you're going to get a property that's just gets you ridiculous amount of gains. Like,
man, this is brilliant.
Which is wild. So I'm like, if I was someone like, cool, I want to get a property, I want to make gains. So like I want to buy a property for $800,000 within a year, it's going to go up 100. Within another year, it goes up 300. Other years, I can sell it if I want, make a profit. I can do whatever. I can reduce my tax, right?
Absolutely.
And I don't have to touch anything. It's just doing it by itself, right? What do I need to do with the AI to make that happen?
I want to summarize this for you. As we grew and grew and grew our company, we had real estate agents, we had finance brokers, we had accountants, financial planners. And in the observation process, every single time that there was an interaction between one of the professionals and the client, what we did is that we integrated all of it into the software. So if you say to me, is the software financial planning? No. The software is WealthGo, and JDL stands for Just Do Life. So imagine if you had a synthetic combination between a lawyer, a financial planner, a finance guy, you punch it in and you go, how am I tracking? So the software is intuitive, is designed for you to work with your accountant, work with your mother-in-law if you wanted to. It's basically you plug in the numbers and it gives you the outcomes if you keep playing the game the way you are playing, right? It's Monopoly-like. So imagine you don't have to be 50 to know how you're going to 10 out of 50. Yeah. It will know now. And if you're 50 now, you don't need to wait until 70. You will plug the numbers in and will gradually give you next year, the year after, and it shows you how to accumulate. The reason why we like property is because you buy a lot of assets, right? And other people pay for it. And then we integrate debt reduction, tax minimization to get your numbers to really perform. So if you ask me to synthesize, is houses that buy houses that buy everything else. And what the software will do is not going to judge you, not going to know what you know, it's just going to look at your numbers and give you an outcome. And then you can play with it to say, what if I change this? What if I change that? And this is why we create, the client manager here would give you a call, and then we would design a tailor-made strategy.
Yeah. I think one of the best features in the platform that you got is like if you put your properties in there that you have, or if you haven't got them yet. And then when you're available by putting in your numbers and keeping it updated, Julio's team call you when they're ready to buy another property, and you already have like 3 or 4 different properties that you can choose from. They're like, hey, you can buy these. Yeah. Yes or no? And you go, yeah. I'm like, that is saved so much time. Like, it's actually incredible.
And the properties that we buy are designed for you to leverage from them, so you can go again. If you are coming into the conversation here, you imagine we're trying to sell you a property investment, don't become a client here. If you become a client here, we're going to help you to maximize your capabilities of accumulating capital.
Definitely.
That's the game. Yeah. Houses that buy. The richer you become, the more you become our client. Yeah. We represent your interests rather than the interests of anyone else.
Yeah. So if you're if you're around the ages of like 27 to 40 and you're like, wow, I really want to get ahead, like this is where to start. And you can get in contact if you're interested in this. You have to join Set the Standard if you want to get in contact in my community, and we'll be helping out a bunch of the guys in there, being able to get their first property, their second property. And what involves with that is discipline. It is emotional intelligence. It is confidence. It is getting outside of your comfort zone, right? And taking big action, because we may have to make some sacrifices in the short term. And we're going to play it big in the short term as well, because if you want to be in a lifestyle like Julio lives very lusciously, and has, he said the other day, he's like, I'm in this great position, man. I look great. I feel great. I'm cashed up. And I'm like, yeah, you're cashed up, Julio. Like, that's sick. And it's real good in terms of motivation for me, because my dad wasn't like that. I didn't have any masculine mentors that knew any of this stuff around property or whatever. I had to learn it all by myself and try to figure it all out. Learn sales, learn techniques, get outside my comfort zone, heal all my money shit and reprogramming that's in my brain, and being able to connect with someone like Julio and understand like, okay, this is what it looks like and this is what you can do. This one strategy is extremely powerful. So if it does resonate with you, like just reach out to me, and I'll speak to you guys soon. That's sick. But I hope you guys took some nuggets away from Julio here. So
excellent.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. It's really cool.